Hello, friends and family. It's day 88, cycle 5, day 3. If you're new, I'm Jen. If you've been around, thank you for coming back. Welcome, one and all, to my quest to crush aggressive diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, DLBCL, stage 4. We're using the R-EPOCH immunotherapy chemotherapy to crush non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Thanks for joining us on the ride. So, are you an optimist, a pessimist, or a realist? Let's talk about that. Let's get into it. Couple quotes for you. Some people argue against both optimism and pessimism in favor of so-called realistic thinking. They distrust optimism on the grounds that it causes us to sugarcoat problems, discount risks, and exaggerate the upside. Pessimism, on the other hand, is criticized as too downbeat, de-energizing, and generally damaging in its impact. This crown prefers realism as the neutral and objective middle ground. Price Pritchett. So that got me to thinking. I'm not sure I'm an optimist or a pessimist or a realist. I think I'm a combination. I think I'm an optimistic realist. So I went to my friend Urban Dictionary to find out what the definition is. So here is the definition of optimistic realist from Urban Dictionary. Someone who is able to look at the positive side of life while maintaining a realistic viewpoint. Although seemingly contradictory, or even possibly as an oxymoron, it clearly is not, due to the fact that realism has no positive or negative association, only a focus on the realistic elements of a situation. And then they give the example. Craig is an optimistic realist because while he understands that in reality negative things can happen, that there is an equal chance that positive things can happen. And again, that was from the Urban Dictionary, so I don't have an author. There you go. So where did this come from, this thought process? I think I've said it before. I think that I am overall an optimistic person. Try to look at the bright side, try to find the positive in every experience. But I think that I also am realistic about at least as many experiences as I can, about, what is the real data? What is the reality? What does science tell me? I take other information into account in my positivity or optimism. And I'm not blindly optimistic. I had one friend say to me, well, you're not Pollyanna about it. You don't just go in blindly and say it's all going to be okay. You go in with the knowledge of the obstacles you have to overcome, the knowledge of what it is you're dealing with, and then you become optimistic or positive about how to accomplish it. And I agree with that assessment. And I think that that's what I've shared with you along this journey. Even our discussion yesterday about trying to understand, or in the last few days, about being an active participant in your, as a patient, asking questions. Every doctor that comes to see you may or may not know about your history with this or that, or why, if I've already had a port, can I have another port, or is there any risk to having a second port in the same location? The last time I had a port, I had breasts. Now I have breast implants. Is there any risk to getting a port with breast implants? These are the questions I asked on the first day in the hospital. Not because I thought that the person that was talking to me was an idiot, just asking because I know my history the best, and I don't know the answer, right? I just know I have these questions. And by asking those questions, it gave them an opportunity to absorb that data, consult with other people, and answer the question in the appropriate way, versus just blindly saying you're getting a port. Right now, they're considering all these other factors. Now, that turned out to be a non-issue because I got the PICC line, and that had to do solely with time in the hospital. But that's the way it goes, right? But being an active participant, and also, in my perspective, an optimistic realist. Here's the data. Yes, I want to get a port or a PICC line or whatever you need to start my treatment as quickly as possible at that time. I just want to make the right decision. I want to help you, or partners, make the right decision about how I get the medication as quickly as possible. Optimistic realist. I think that defines me. What defines you? Are you an optimist, a pessimist, or a realist? Or are you a combination? Are you a pessimistic realist or an optimistic realist? I didn't look up pessimistic realist when I did the Urban Dictionary lookup. That would be an interesting exercise. Oh, on yesterday's conversation about how we process IV fluids versus oral, I haven't found a lot of data on that yet. There is a lot of information about, I think they call it sorry, I didn't commit it to memory. But basically how you process medication, IV versus oral, and then the process that the fluid goes through in your body. But I didn't come to a conclusion yet there. So if you know, please share it below, because I'm really very curious. And then there was information about interstitial or intercellular or extracellular, where the fluid is, how much of the fluid goes where, and how it's processed out. There was a recommendation for women to drink about 9 glasses a day, and men to have more. And if your outs were consistently more than your ins, then that would put you at risk for dehydration. And then finally, and I think I already talked about this, I forget the name of it, it escapes me at the moment, but the fluid that escapes that we can't measure. It has a name, I can't think of it. Sorry. I'll put it here on the screen somewhere once I remember. But that's breathing, that's sweating, defecation. I'm trying to think what else. There's a couple others, but there's a handful of things where fluid, and they're saying up to a liter, can escape your body in that way. The thing that makes me question if that's the actual case is that my weight is continuing to go up. So I don't know that that's the case as far as the fluid exiting for me. But, and I do think that has a lot to do with the prednisone, holding onto the fluid and keeping the fluid in my body. All right, so I don't think I have anything else to say about optimistic, pessimistic, or realist. Personally, for me, being an optimistic realist is the best path. I need to know the facts, I need to operate on the facts, and then I need to be positive about how I'm going to handle those facts, and that's what works for me. I don't know what works for you. I hope it's realism with a little bit of optimism, or at least realism, because pessimism, at least in my experience, does have all those side effects that they talked about, those negative things, and I wouldn't like to see that for you. But you have to use the tools at your disposal and what works for you. So how am I overall? The nausea battle is real today. Real. A bit tired. I did take a nap before recording. Sorry if I look sleepy. And overall, I am starting to feel more symptoms, which we'll see later in the symptoms and statistics. But it's still tolerable. I'm thinking that I'm going to take the nausea medicine tonight for bedtime. I'm starting to really feel it, and it's a struggle during the day, so I'm worried that if I sleep I'm going to wake up not feeling well. So that's my plan at the moment. Angel deliveries, we got some fruit, and the boys also got some tasty subs. So that was yummy. On the doctor news front, Lana changed my bag today, around just before 2. She'll be here around 2 tomorrow. And I took another COVID survey for the office so I can go in on Tuesday for the final round. Although the weatherman is saying maybe snow on Tuesday. So we had this beautiful spring weather last week, and now they're talking possibly snow on Tuesday, which makes me double sad because the beautiful weather was very helpful for the noodle. And then, why does it always snow and I have to drive to the doctor's office? Otherwise I go nowhere. What is up with that? I don't know. All right, so let's look at the to-do list. Pretty good job today, I think. I slept in, I did rest. I did get to bed late because I was working on my video, but I really stayed in bed till about 12:30 with the time change, so I guess that's really 11:30, but that's still not too bad. Chemo, obviously. I worked on my hydration. I'm a little behind. I'm only at about 50 ounces, but I'm going to keep going and get as high as I can. Given the overall estimate from the video I watched, I'm going to try and make sure that my low is 72. No lower than 72, but I am targeting higher if I can tolerate it. And I am doing things like adding a little bit of extra water to my porridge and other things like that to keep my fluid levels up. So for what that's worth. Let's see. As I mentioned, I was able to edit my video on my phone last night, so there were some differences. I also noticed that some of the timing was off with the words, so I got to kind of tweak the program. I think I'm not seeing the audio balance when I'm looking at the video. I'm just listening, so maybe there was some delay. So I'm going to try to take a class on that shortly and figure out how to make that show up on my phone so I can do that a little better for you. But overall, I was pleased enough with the outcome. Timing wise, it did help a lot. So we're going to probably try and pursue that moving forward if you guys can tolerate it. And hopefully I'll get better with the new tool. So it is a different program than the one I was using on the PC. So I have to get used to all the new mechanisms and so forth. I had the bag change, as I mentioned, taking a video editing class or two on YouTube. And then I had to fill up my magic mouthwash bottle with a full dosing and such. So I did that. So I'm set at least for a week, hopefully more. It depends on how much I take it. All right, so my must do. I have to go to work tomorrow. I have to hydrate. I have to do chemo, and I have to do the bag change. That is all I have to do tomorrow. Boom. My to-do would like to clean. I have a few phone accessories I'd like to order. So one is a dongle USB that would allow me to connect my new phone to a TV or a PC or just a plain old monitor to do the editing with a bigger screen, which might make it a little easier. And I've done a little bit of research there. I was able to connect it to our TVs. We happen to have Samsung TVs. So I was able, but it was wireless. So that, there's an inherent delay there. With the dongle, I can connect USB-C from my phone to HDMI to the TV or the PC, and that would allow real time and much faster 4K speeds over the dongle, over the wire. So that's obviously going to be a better experience. So I want to try and get that. I also am eyeing up a phone grip I want. My new phone is pretty big for my little hand, and I need to prevent droppage and breakage. So that's on my list, a high priority, but it's on my would love to do. We'll see if maybe I get it done tonight or tomorrow. We'll see. And then the last one is I'm going to try, and I don't know when this is going to happen, to set up Bob's old PC, my oldest, as my own PC. So my current PC has a lot of issues. It's old, has 4 gig of RAM. At least Bob's PC has 8 gig of RAM. Now to put that in perspective, my new phone, I think it has 16 or 32. I forget. I gotta look it up. But it's a way better processor. So, but from a PC perspective, there's some things you can't do on your phone. Like we were doing, for robotics, we had to do the Microsoft Teams is the tool that they're using for their interview next week. We use Google Meet as a robotics team because we are in the Google Suite. So, and the school is in the Google Suite. So, they've deemed that to be safe for the students. So that's what we use. But we're using the Microsoft Teams for the interview next week. So we all loaded some sample software to work with it so the students can get used to that tool. And I couldn't load it on my old PC at all. I did load it on my phone, but I didn't have all the same capabilities that they had on their PC. So I'm going to see if I can get that loaded on the other PC and kind of ramp that up as my working PC when I need one. And I'm also curious if I can use that dongle and connect to that PC, the newer one, Bob's PC, and have that be a monitor, essentially a dumb terminal for my phone. So my phone is doing the processing, but I got the keyboard, the mouse, and the monitor of the old PC. That's kind of what I'm trying to see if I can do, because it does have Windows 10 and a faster processor and all those kinds of things. So fingers crossed there. And that's on my would love to do. All right. So that's my to-do, my to-da, and my to-do. Oh, and charity miles, I did get a little bit in. I'm going to say it was 1/4 mile to a 1/2 mile. Not great. My Fitbit steps are a little better, but actually having a concentrated time when I'm walking and I can do charity miles is a little more difficult, especially during these days. I might be able to turn it on and do a little bit more of that later today, but we'll see. So we still have 16 people participating. Thank you, team. And cumulatively, the last time I checked, we were at 596 miles cumulatively. So great job. Really, really happy to have all those folks moving. And let me just tell you that this afternoon I had a little driveway visit with my parents, and my mom was bragging that she was beating my brother in the charity miles and several other people, and then she was giving kudos to the people at the top of her list, like, oh my gosh, look at him move, he's doing so good, da, 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 da. But she was bragging on my brother. He's hardly moving at all. And my son, what are they doing? They're doing nothing. I put so many miles on every day. It was hysterical, but great. Glad to see how proud she is of her movement compared to them. And maybe that'll give them a little bit of oomph to get moving themselves. the old lady's beating them. Just teasing. But move, Dave, move. It's good for you. All right. What else do I have? I think that is all I have for you today on Storytime. So if you just joined us for Storytime, thank you so much for coming today and every day. We love you. Have a great day. Let's get into daily symptoms and statistics. So the nausea I've already mentioned is definitely real. Managed by food, but much harder today. I mentioned I slept in, so nearly as soon as I got vertical, I was feeling pretty nauseous. I was in a kind of a rush to get my porridge cooked and a little bit eaten. I needed to take my pills, so a little combo there. I'm hesitant to take my pills on an empty stomach, or at least not take the pills as I'm eating because of how nauseous I'm feeling. And also the prednisone has a nasty aftertaste, which is difficult to get rid of, which I took a little while before I got on this discussion, and I'm still tasting. I had a root beer barrel for a while to try and kill it, but it's still there and it's gross, which also makes the nausea a little worse. The mouth pain is a bit, not overwhelming. Teeth pain, no. Throat pain, no. My weight is up to X6.95. My fluid in was 96 ounces by mouth, which is 2.8 liters, and another 0.4 liters by IV. So my total was 3.2 liters, and my out was 3.6 liters. So my out's a little higher than my in, but again, we had the other day when it was lower, so I'm not panicking about these numbers, really. It's just to kind of keep track. My sleep was 7 hours and 4 minutes overnight. I did wake up, I'm going to say 8 or 9, I forget exactly when, but I laid in bed until 12:30. I did have to get up a couple times to go to the bathroom, but otherwise I really kind of just was chill, dozing on and off in bed. My movement was 6,300 steps plus restorative poses, and my vitals were fine and actually good for Nurse Lana, so things are looking up there. Going back to sleep just for a brief moment. One kind of nice thing about using my phone instead of the PC for the editing was I did make a little learn. So yesterday's video was in 4K instead of 1080p. Because my phone can do 4K videos, and I was like, all right, let me upload the 4K video. But the 4K video was much larger, and so the upload to YouTube took a long time, like an hour, versus the 1080p, which is like 15 to 20 minutes. So, lesson learned. And I didn't figure that out until I'd already uploaded. It's already been going for 2/3 of the time, maybe 40 minutes, and I'd already typed in all the data, and I didn't really want to have to go back and do all that again because I was getting more tired. But the good thing was I was able to get in bed and read a book and just periodically check the status. So it actually worked out. Even though I did stay up, I was in bed resting and reading for a little while to kill the time until the video uploaded. And then I was able to finish, the process and get it out to you guys. If you didn't know, and the magic of YouTube, I actually scheduled the video to go live at 7 a.m. Eastern. I can pick any time. That's just kind of an arbitrary time I picked. If you guys would prefer a different time for it to go live, let me know, and I'll see what I can do. Okay, so let's get into the rest of the symptoms. Neuropathy. No. Hair loss was status quo. I don't know if you noticed on yesterday's video. I think it was yesterday's. I changed the video to show a couple more days, and I'm going to see today if I can add another snapshot at day 40 or 50, just to get an idea on the hair loss and the snapshot in the very beginning. My skin is status quo. Nose clots have returned, so yes, bit. Night sweats were definitely real. Headache, no. Fatigue, yes. I had to take a nap not too long ago. Red skin, yes. I don't know if you can see. My face is very red. My chest is very red. I can't remember if I see red on my trunk. I'll have to look a little closer. And chemo brain, I don't think so. I think I'm keeping it all good in there. All right, so that's all I have to share with you today. Thank you so much for joining me on the journey, and I will continue to learn with the new software and try and make the videos better. Thank you for sticking with me, and I really appreciate your love and support. Definitely am feeling the chemo, I'll say that. But I'm optimistically realist that I will get through this. Today's day 3, which means in a couple days I'm not going to be having such a good day, but maybe now that I'm using my phone to edit, I'll be able to do it a little better and still get you your video. We'll see. Fingers crossed. Because I could do it laying in my bed if I have to, right? We'll see how that all goes. But thank you so much. We appreciate it. Love you. You know what? I think I've been pointing the wrong way, so I'm just going to point both ways. If you want to subscribe to see what's going to happen next, and if you want to see more about how I got to this predicament at day 88, there's 87 more videos to tell you about what happened on the other days. Thanks again. We love you. See you tomorrow.